Happy Saturday, everybody. My name is Ian Utile, and it is nice to have your attention on this amazing October 31st. It's Halloween night, and I'm here with Jeff. And Jeff is running for Congress here in my district. And if you are a neighbor of mine, it's in your district. Jeff, you have a great reputation amongst our friends. And so I had one of our mutual friends was saying some great things about you recently. And as they were singing your praises, I thought, you know what? I am voting for Jeff, and I'll explain why I'm voting for you, both in a general and specific sense. And so I'm voting for Jeff. Maybe he's willing to jump on an interview with me. And so we had a text message this morning, and then we agreed to jump on here for just a few minutes. So for those that are watching or listening to us live, thank you for your attention. For those that tune into the archive in the next 2-3 days, this might persuade you to vote for Jeff if you're still undecided, or at least you'll know what it is that he stands on. So let me explain why I've marked Jeff as the person that I am voting for. You also see Vicky down here. I interviewed Vicky earlier today. So if you're interested in the conversation I had with Vicky, you can tune into that. And Jeff, generally, why I'm voting for you. In our nation, there's a two-party system. I find it to be very, very dangerous. And so for the last 20 years, I have never once voted for one of the two candidates I was told I had to vote for. I've always written in somebody like Ron Paul was who I wrote in 2008 and 2012. Enough on that. Specifically, why I'm voting for you is even worse in California. It's a one-party system. We have the impression that if you're not a Democrat, you don't have a chance. I find that to be a great disservice to people that don't fully align with the Democratic Party because they're independent or Republican. And it's like, shouldn't everybody have a chance to have the right person in place for them? Specifically for you, I have found you to be a political candidate that is not a politician, but a businessman, and you are for limited government. And I, if I had to be aligned with just one party, would be a libertarian because I want less government, not more. So you and I really align on that and some other things. Instead of me speaking for you anymore, would you mind introducing yourself to folks that are tuned in live or get a chance to see this after we're done?
Absolutely. So I am Jeff Gorman. I'm a candidate for the U.S. House of Representatives, California District 20, which includes the Monterey Bay area generally, all of Monterey County, San Benito County, a little bit of Santa Clara County out around Gilroy. And I'm just very excited to bring a message of hope for America. Before 2016, the consensus was America was in decline, that China was taking over the world. And I really think America needs to have hope, and we need to portray for our children a future that's a positive message. And I really appreciate what you said about the party system. The party system is brutal. It is very reasonable for people not to identify with either party. But politics is a team sport. I mean, poly means many. So I believe that what my function is to be a voice, to encourage people to consider what they want out of the federal government in particular, because this is a federal office. And we have federalism in this country. So I want limited government. I want the government to be focused, each part of government to focus on its core mission and not to get into all of our lives so much. So that's really the core.
So can you talk a bit about limited government and in two parts? First, as a Californian and as somebody that lives here in our region, in the greater Monterey County, can you talk about your vision of limited government for the state of California? I know you're running for a federal office, but could you just talk about the fact that you're representing Californians? And so what's your thought on a more limited government, less government involvement for the local state? And then can you talk a bit about that on a federal level? Because for me, it's one of the things that I lean into most as I go to your website and research what you're all about.
Thank you. Yeah, the Republican Party is a party that believes in a Republican form of government. That doesn't mean the majority can do whatever it wants. The system needs to have checks and balances to slow down the mob psychology that can run off and do something rash. So I believe that limited government means that it's more deliberative. Instead of hundreds of bills being passed each year, we should have many fewer bills. They should be more considerate, and people that those laws are being inflicted onto, they need to have a chance to voice that and talk about that. our founders intended for a much smaller federal government. And we can get back to that, but it's going to be a lot of work to winnow down the purpose of government. So with regard to two parties, I think the other party is just out of control, really, in the state of California. I think they are not passing hundreds of bills. They are passing thousands of bills, and they are egregious. There is no cooling down or slowing down the machine up in Sacramento. And it's a real problem.
As far as the local region, can you talk a bit about why me, my family, our neighbors should vote for you? Why should folks do what I've done and cast the ballot for you? Why are you the right representative for us? What is it that you're going to do for us? And I don't want you to talk about in comparison with, Jimmy, because I'm not looking to cast any stones. I like to be honorable toward all people. So I'd prefer that. But can you just
I think there is a strong
that you are going to do outside of just the limitations of government and trying to rein things in, but in some other areas that are important to you?
Yeah. Well, so the reining things in isn't to be mean to bureaucrats. It's because the beauty of America is the people. I mean, we operate under the consent of the governed, and I think many people feel oppressed here. I think that if they can say in their mind, well, I may not love Donald Trump's personality, but I appreciate X or Y or Z. There are people that have expressed to me, many people that have expressed to me, they're afraid to say that to their dogmatic Democrat friends. Things have become uncivil. So I am the guy that's out there speaking about the alternative view to my opponent and his party. And I really believe the yoga teachers, musicians, and writers that were crushed by AB 5 in the state of California, we need to step up. We need to come together. That rule in particular should not go to the nation as the Democratic Party has brought it. Joe Biden has talked about it. Jimmy Panetta is a sponsor of it. I just have a fundamentally different view. So if you agree with me that freelancing is good, that people should be encouraged to be industrious, then you should pull the lever for me. In a separate soundbite, we could talk a little bit about the government, the social safety net, where we do need a safety net. I mean, people go off the rails and they do dumb things. Everybody does a little bit. Some people go off horribly, right? But that safety net should not be a hammock. We need to think of it more as a trampoline, like you can't just live on the dole forever. And I have tried to interview and I have interviewed and tried to get to know people who rely on this social safety net in our society. And what I find is very often they feel the services aren't good, but if they go and get a job, then what little services they're getting get taken away because they don't qualify anymore for the income benefits. And this can be seen in the bigger picture with single parent households where there's a bias. If you are struggling as a young mother and you have a man that's in the house and he makes a decent but kind of a lower working class wage, you won't qualify for benefits. That's a horrible wrong. And I never hear the people on the other side of the aisle talking about that one. So that's a big one.
Yeah. I want to be sensitive to the audience that's tuning in. So as we kind of get ready to wrap, I want to ask you 3 final questions. And so we'll just kind of go in order. Finally, I'm asking you about your vision and let you cast a positive vision. I'm going to ask how people can get a hold of you, but let's start with the first one. You have some wooden dolphins behind you. And one of the things that you and I had discussed was the environment. Yeah. And so there's a thought that the Republican Party or conservatives don't care about the environment. They don't believe in climate change, et cetera. Would you mind just sharing for a moment about the environment, the importance of the environment to you, and how you intend to represent me and my neighbors when it comes to the environment and things of that nature?
In 60 seconds or less, right?
Yeah.
So I do believe that humans are biological entities. They're, we have a spirit and we're trapped in a body, and that body needs certain things like food and air, but it also has a need to regenerate. And I think nature is hugely positive. So surfing, I'm not a good surfer. Golfing, I'm a terrible golfer. My thing was sailing. This is a trophy. Actually, it's a bronze.
Oh, that's awesome. It's bronze. Okay.
And I used to sail with some very strong environmentalists. And there's a lot of common ground. I mean, hunting and fishing, which I don't do a lot of, but I've done a little of. Those things they bring us back to a way that humans have to honor. We have to honor the environment and our place in the environment. So I hope that is inspiring to people that the Republicans are not anti-environment.
Yeah, I have found that to be the case with my Republican friends. I've also found it to be the case with my Democrat friends, that they are not crazy climate change people, that they also have somewhat of a balanced view. We just have different ways of talking about it and different methods of dealing with it. For those that want to learn more about you, can you please share the place or places they could go, your website, your social media feeds, etc.?
Absolutely. So you can call my, I have a voicemail phone number. It's 831-375-2227. Leave me a message and I will call you back. You can also go to my website, which is jeffforcongress.com or gormanforcongress.com. And the 4 is spelled out FOR. So yeah, I hope you will check me out there and shoot me a message. There's a way to send emails there, and I'll look forward to talking to you.
And the final question, which I like to wrap up any interview, whether political or business or anything, can you cast a positive vision for me? Inspire me. Tell me how you see things transforming, whether slowly or quickly, whether 6 months or 6 years. Just cast a vision for what it is that you're running after.
Absolutely. We are in the valley right now. We are in the crucible where we are watching the heat go up in the rhetoric, and America is the melting pot. And one thing that's fundamentally true about melting is it's adding energy. So as we see energy go in, just realize people are letting their passions out. In some cases, they're letting their evils out and their angers out. And we need to take that in stride and be careful. And I think it behooves us to be courteous to each other. But at the same time, what's happening is America is forming now in the crucible of this moment, the vision for the future. And I'm very eager to see what it is. I know the best is yet to come for America.
Well, I love that. The best is yet to come. Well, I'll end on just declaring my hope for you. It's a huge sacrifice for you to run. Whether you win or whether you lose, either way, what it takes for you to raise money, what it takes for you to put yourself out there. If you win, the responsibility that you're taking on your shoulders, the fact that you're going to be have to be in Washington, D.C. consistently over and over again, away from your community, away from your family, the sacrifice your family's making. If you were not to win, then the rejection that any political candidate gets when they are not chosen, I certainly hope that you are chosen for the reasons that I've mentioned. But I want to just say, as a Californian, and my family lived in California for 20 generations, all the way back to the 15th century. We've lived in the Bay Area for 10 generations. My ancestor founded the city of San Jose in 1778, founded the Presidio in San Francisco in 1777, Lieutenant Moraga. So I can speak with some level of heritage and authority on behalf of this region and Californians in general. Thank you. Thank you for your willingness to represent me, to represent us. For anybody out there that's watching live, listening live, or tunes into the archive, if you like to fight against the system, voting for a Republican doesn't mean that you're Republican, just means that you don't like the one-party system in California. Voting for, this man right here that's not a politician, but is a businessman, is letting somebody with a new voice come in. Now, I have honor for Jimmy. He's been a politician for a long time. I'm grateful for what he's done. But by casting a vote for Jeff, you are saying that you want new ideas in office. It's kind of a little bit of an anarchist move, which I like. And so I want to encourage people that there's lots of good reasons to cast their vote for you. And if you're undecided, this may have persuaded you, maybe it didn't. Regardless, I got to have a cool conversation with you and make a new friend. So Jeff, thank you for becoming my new friend.
It's my pleasure. I'll close with a quote if I could.
Please.
I think it's Eli Wiesel. He said, and I've used this when people are calm enough, if they're anti-Trump and I'm at a rally or an event, when they come on real hot and heavy, I just try and be calm. And I quote Eli Wiesel, who said, he was a Nazi hunter. He was pursuing the Nazis. But he said, it's very important to remember the opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. And what happened after the Holocaust was there was a tendency to want to put it behind us, put it behind humanity. But he was out there pursuing justice. And so when someone comes at me that's very animated, I just try to remember I try to see the dignity in them and have solidarity with them. And then if they're really, really angry, I try to acknowledge that as passion and to handle that in a graceful way. So I wish that on all of our community.
as do I. And for all of you out there, may you have the most wonderful Saturday evening. And I hope you wake up tomorrow feeling enthusiastic about November. I'll be back again with another interview when I am.
Okay. Thank you, Ian.